What if one of the most powerful symbols in human history wasn't just ancient decoration, but a code? A symbol of protection, a symbol of kingship, a symbol of restored sight, and maybe a symbol of consciousness itself. Today, we're decoding the Eye of Horus, where it came from, what it meant to the ancient Egyptians, how it evolved into modern power symbolism, and why this ancient eye still watches over our world today. Let's begin. The Eye of Horus comes from one of the most important myths in ancient Egypt, the battle between Horus and Set. Horus was the son of Osiris, the rightful king of Egypt. But Osiris was betrayed and killed by his brother Seth, god of chaos, disorder, and desert storms. Horus grew up in exile. When he came of age, he challenged Set to reclaim the throne. During their violent struggle, Horus lost his left eye. But here's where it gets powerful. The eye was not permanently destroyed. It was restored by Thoth, the god of knowledge, writing, and magic. Because it was healed, the eye became known as the Wedget, meaning the restored one. This wasn't just a story about violence. It was a story about restoration, about chaos being brought back into order, about vision being lost and recovered. The eye became a symbol of protection, healing, and wholeness. Ancient Egyptians wore it as amulets. They carved it into tombs. They painted it on coffins. Not because it looked mysterious, but because it represented divine protection and cosmic balance. What most people don't know is that the Eye of Horus wasn't only spiritual, it was mathematical. Each part of the eye symbol corresponded to a fraction used in Egyptian measurement systems. 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, 1/16, 1/32, 1/64. Together, these fractions add up to 63/64, not quite 1, and that's fascinating. It suggests something profound, that human perception is almost complete, but never fully whole. There is always a missing piece. In Egyptian thinking, true completion belonged to the divine. So the eye becomes not just sight, but measured perception, ordered awareness, consciousness structured by proportion. Symbol meets mathematics, myth meets geometry. Now here's where things get interesting. If you overlay the Eye of Horus onto a cross-section of the human brain, the symbol aligns strikingly with structures around the pineal gland. The pineal gland sits near the center of the brain and regulates circadian rhythms. But spiritually, it has long been called the third eye, the seat of intuition, the gateway of higher perception. There's no solid historical evidence that the ancient Egyptians consciously encoded neuroanatomy into the symbol, but symbolically, the connection is powerful. Horus loses his eye, perception is damaged. The eye is restored. Consciousness returns. It mirrors the awakening journey, from blindness to awareness, from fragmentation to integration. The eye becomes a metaphor for restored consciousness. Fast forward thousands of years, the eye appears again, but in a different form. The Eye of Providence, the eye inside a triangle, appears on the Great Seal of the United States. This symbol represents divine oversight and guidance. It is not historically the same as the Eye of Horus, but visually, the archetype is similar. An eye that sees everything. Groups like Freemasonry use the Eye of Providence to symbolize moral accountability under a higher power. Over time, conspiracy culture merged these images with stories about the Illuminati and hidden control systems. But historically, there's no verified evidence that ancient Egyptian Horus worship secretly controls modern governments. What is real is the power of the archetype. An all-seeing eye communicates authority, surveillance, awareness, and control. In the digital age, this takes on a new meaning. We live under cameras, under algorithms, under data tracking systems. The eye has transformed again from divine protection to digital observation. Humans are neurologically wired to react to eyes. Even a simple image of eyes increases alertness and self-awareness. Why? Because being watched changes behavior. The symbol of the eye activates something primal: attention, accountability, conscious presence. Whether ancient or modern, the eye always represents awareness, and awareness is power. The Eye of Horus began as a story of restoration. It became a symbol of protection, a mathematical structure, a metaphor for consciousness, an emblem of authority, a sign of surveillance. But at its core, It represents something simple and profound. Vision restored after chaos, perception reclaimed after loss, awareness emerging from darkness. The real question isn't whether the eye is watching you. The real question is, are you awake enough to see? If this deep dive expanded your perception, subscribe. Because next, we're exploring how ancient symbols became the architecture of modern hyperreality. And trust me, that rabbit hole goes even deeper.